This is Kim Spedick from 10 Sigma. Welcome to episode 73 of Transition Tuesday. Today I'll be discussing brain-based learning in special education. Right now I'm going to switch over to a short slide presentation to share some information.
In today's video, I will be discussing the definition and 10 main ideas with tips based on the work of Eric Jensen on brain-based learning. So what is brain-based learning? Simply stated, brain-based learning is the idea that as long as the brain is not prevented from functioning normally, learning will occur. Everyone can learn, and everyone does learn. Brain-based learning is about the neuroplasticity of the brain, the concept that neural connections in the brain change, remap, and reorganize themselves when people learn new concepts, have new experiences, or practice certain skills over time. The first of the 10 main ideas is that physical education, recess, and movement are critical to learning. Neurons grow during a lifetime and are connected with memory, mood, and learning. Everyday behaviors, including exercises and physical activity, regulate this process. In early childhood, movement wires up the brain to make more efficient connections. Some general tips are to support physical movement. It raises the good chemicals for thinking, focus, learning, and memory. Students need at least 30 to 60 minutes per day to lower their stress response, boost neurogenesis, and boost learning. Voluntary activity does more good than forced activity, which may cause an overproduction of cortisol. And some special education tips would be to include movement breaks in the IEP for all disability areas, and state that recess may not be taken away as a disciplinary action. The second main idea of brain-based learning is that social conditions influence our brain in multiple ways we never knew before. School behaviors are highly social experiences, which become encoded throughout our sense of reward, acceptance, pain, pleasure, coherence, affinity, and stress. Poor social conditions, isolation, or social defeat are correlated with fewer brain cells. Some general tips are: do not allow random social groupings for more than 10 to 20% of the school day. Use targeted, planned, diverse social groupings with mentoring teams and buddy systems. Work to strengthen pro-social conditions. Teacher-to-student relationships matter, as do student-to-student relationships. And some special education tips are: teach social skills, which I know you all do, and provide opportunities for non-judgmental practice. Assign mentors and teach them to interact positively with the student. Remember, pro-social relationships matter to all students with all disabilities, even students with severe multiple impairments, and those who are nonverbal. And the third main idea is that the brain changes. The brain changes every day. It even changes during the school day. The brain can remap and rewire in a very short period of time. The evidence is compelling that when the correct skill-building protocol is used, educators can make positive and significant changes in the brain in a very short period of time. Some general tips are: use 30 to 90 minutes a day, 3 to 5 times per week to upgrade student skill sets. Teach attentional skills, memory skills, and processing skills. Teach, reteach, and show students their progress. It takes time to learn these skills. Progress requires focus, buy-in, and at least 30 minutes a day. Some special education tips are: include specific practice times in the IEP. Utilize rubrics to show students and their caregivers progress. Develop goals and objectives for attentional skills, memory skills, and processing skills across all disability areas. The fourth main idea is that chronic stress is a very real issue at schools. Recent studies suggest 30 to 50% of all students feel moderately to greatly stressed every day. For those from poverty, the numbers can be higher. This can impact health, learning, behavior, attendance, memory, social skills, and cognition. Some general tips are to remember students usually cannot control their source of stress. All students need to learn and practice coping skills. The arts, physical activity, and mentoring can help stress. Allowing students choices whenever possible helps to restore feelings of control. Some special education tips are to include allowances for choice in the IEP. Offer menus of activities or assignments that students can choose from. Support staff development in learning about trauma-informed education. And teach students about making choices, allowing them to make choices, and understand as they learn the skill, they will make mistakes. The fifth main idea is that differences are more common than normality. Research shows us almost 90% of human brains are atypical, damaged, or in some way not healthy. That doesn't mean that students have not compensated. They have. This is resiliency. This is not a direct link to intelligence or academic potential. Damage does not always equal lower cognitive functioning. Some general tips are to expand and embrace differences. Understand that there will be variability in maturation rates. Encourage students to use unique talents and abilities. Some special education tips are don't write the same goals and objectives for more than one child. Keep differentiation and individualization as priorities. The sixth main idea of brain-based learning is to teach content in even smaller chunk sizes. The old thinking that students could hold at least 7 plus or minus chunks in the head as a capacity for work in memory is outdated. New research says that 2 to 4 chunks are more realistic. Learning and memory consume physical resources, such as glucose, and our brain uses this more quickly with more intense learning. Some general tips are to teach in small chunks, process the learning, and then rest the brain. Too much content taught in too small of a time span means the brain cannot process it, and it's not learned. Breaks, recess, and downtime make more sense than content, and more content. Some special education tips are check in frequently for comprehension. Write chunking into the IEP. Listen when students talk about feeling overloaded. Look for early signs of disengagement and offer breaks so behaviors do not escalate. The seventh main idea is that art is good for the brain. Certain arts boost attention, working memory, and visual spatial skills. Other arts such as dance, theater, and drama boost social skills, empathy, timing, patience, verbal memory, and other transferable life skills. Some general tips are give students access to choices of several types of art and support with expert teachers and time to excel at it. Evidence suggests that most value comes from 30 to 60 minutes a day, 3 to 5 times a week. Focus on the experience of art, not the end product. The arts are more than drawing, painting, and sculpting. Think about graphic arts, poetry, photography, and others. Some special education tips are to create safe, non-judgmental spaces for students to become involved in the arts. Encourage the students to try new areas. If a student lacks confidence, consider modifying the grading procedure for an arts class to get them involved. The eighth main idea is that only 6 emotions are hardwired into humans. The rest are learned. So unless children get emotional states taught to them early, ages 0 to 3, when they enter school, they will be emotionally narrow. And this is usually what happens. Students need to be taught appropriate emotional responses. They need to be able to practice them and learn from not applying them successfully. There are hundreds of emotional states. Support those which are good for learning, anticipation, curiosity, and patience. Some general tips are: teach and reteach appropriate emotional states as life skills. Learn to read the emotional states of students. Help students identify their emotional states and the emotional states of others. Some special education tips are: use assessments to discover what students know about emotional states. Break life skills down into small chunks for easier learning. Help students learn regulation skills to manage emotions. The ninth main idea is that students in special education may be able to improve more than once believed. There have been stunning strides in rehabilitation of brain-based disorders, including Asperger's, learning delays, dyslexia, and autism. The discovery that aggressive behavioral therapies, new drugs, and revolutionary stem cell implantation can be used to influence, regulate, and repair brain-based disorders. Some general tips are to educate all staff about disabilities. Encourage the mindset of all students as ours. It takes consistent hour-a-day skill building for the student to change. Some special education tips are: include staff education as a component in the IEP. Provide staff with specific interventions to assist and support students. Include supports to help special education students participate in general education classes. And the 10th main idea of brain-based learning is that memories are not fixed. Memories are malleable. Every time you retrieve a memory, it goes into a volatile flux state in which it is temporarily reorganized. Some general tips are: review midway between original instruction and testing situations. Use a structured review process to be sure the original content is what is remembered. Some special education tips are to provide frequent check-ins for comprehension of material. Be sure individual review sessions are based on the original instructional information and content. Make sure you use the same material as the instructor used. And one final thought about brain-based learning. Every student can learn, just not on the same day or in the same way. This is by George Evans. For today's bonus, I'll be sending you links to information and resources on brain-based learning and special education.
Thank you for watching the video. I hope you use this information to help your students. Be sure to check your email for the bonus we just sent over. If this is the first time you've ever seen an episode of Transition Tuesday, click the link below to receive the bonus. Be sure to like and share the video and leave a comment or suggestion for a future episode of Transition Tuesday. Have a great week. See you next Tuesday.